I dove the Great Barrier Reef in June of 2015 along with my stepdaughter, Kiana, who would be snorkeling while I was scuba diving. We were diving with Deep Sea Divers Den, operating out of Cairns, Australia, and boarded the transfer boat, the Sequest, at 8:45, departing at 9:30 to travel the 30 miles to the Great Barrier Reef dive sites. The operation itself is extremely efficient and was meant to maximize the dive experience. Therefore, we were either diving, going through our surface interval, sleeping, or eating the entire trip. The boat staff were all great people and fun to be with. My dive buddies included Louise, a college student new to diving from England, Jean, an American living in Burma, and Salvador, a lawyer from Sicily. The first dive was on Norman Reef at the Plate Top dive location. We had our dive briefing on the topmost area of the Sequest. We all splashed in at 10:55 a.m. and followed Lonnie out into the waters of the reef. The second dive would be Norman Reef again, but the boat had moved to another location called Turtle Bay. Near the boat was a large Maori wrasse named Wally. He was basically a fish version of a puppy dog and swam amongst the divers freely. He loved having his fishy mouth tickled by the divers' hands. The divers would hold their hands up and wiggle their fingers, and Wally would come running. We transferred to the Ocean Quest after our second dive, which would be our home for the night. Our cabin was small, but adequate for our needs. The dive briefing for Dive 3 was at 3:30 p.m. and was out on the back deck. We would be diving Norman Reef at Sandra's dive site. There was no current, and the visibility was quite extensive still. We just finished our third dive, and now we're waiting for dinner to come up, and we're watching the sunset. It's a beautiful evening. I've got one more dive. It's a night dive, and then we're up at 6:30 to dive again tomorrow morning. We were up in the morning early at 5:45 for our dive time at 6:30. The sun had not rose yet, and when we splashed in at 6:20, it was still fairly dark. second dive of the day for our 9 a.m. dive at Coral Garden site at Saxon Reef. The current was slight with excellent visibility. The dive briefing was poor and we headed out in the wrong direction. It did, however, end up being a good idea, as none of the other divers were in the area and the few coral heads out there were full of fish. Our third and last dive of the trip was at the Coral Garden site in Saxon Reef. Visibility continued to be fabulous. We transferred back to the Ocean Quest at 3 p.m. The trip inbound was much smoother than the trip out, which made it faster too. We were back in Cairns Marina in an hour, where we bid farewell to our new dive buddies.